As we stood at the edge of the woodland, its depths were shrouded in an ominous darkness that appeared to swallow the weak light of the moon. I can still recall the feeling of fear that seized me. The wind whispered secrets through the leaves, sending shivers down my spine. I had always been equally fascinated and terrified by the tales they told about the whispering woods, but that evening my curiosity outweighed my fear. It was a moonless night, the kind that seemed to be meant for the universe and those who dared to explore its shadows. In an effort to laugh the anxious feeling away, my friends and I had gathered around the crackling campfire, faces lit by the dancing flames. We cracked jokes, spoke about the good old days, and did everything we could to drown out the eerie silence that filled the forest around us. Our chats became quieter over time, with the spirit fading just like our fire. It was then that I first heard it, a faint whisper muffled by the rustling leaves. I looked at my friends, who gave me confused looks in exchange. However, the whisper ended as soon as it emerged, leaving us uncertain whether we had heard anything at all. We dismissed it as wind whistling through the trees or our anxious imaginations, but the forest had secrets it was itching to reveal. As the stars moved across the sky, the whisper came back, stronger this time and sounding as though it contained 1,000 unheard confessions. The laughter that had once filled the air now seemed out of place in the face of this eerie choir. We went silent as we were entranced by the eerie melody of those ghostly whispers. As the fire crackled, its sparks fluttered upward like fireflies. They were more like a murmur of emotions than actual words, a mixture of regret, grief, and longing. Those whispers were so heavy that I felt them pressing on my chest, pleading to be let go. "Did you hear that?" trembled Lena's voice. Her eyes were wide, tearing up with a mixture of disbelief and fear. I tried to understand every detail of those spectral whispers, unable to speak. I only nodded. They engulfed us, appearing to come from both nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Chris stood up, a look of resolve in his eyes. "Let's find out where it's coming from," he unsurely uttered. We followed Chris further into the forest as we feared being alone, the whispers getting louder and more forceful with each step. It was as though the forest had evolved into a storyteller who was sharing moments of lives lived and choices regretted. I couldn't get rid of the idea that we were intruding on something sacred, something that should have remained undiscovered. Then there it was, a space surrounded by a silvery radiance, with an old gnarled oak tree at the clearing's center, numerous wind chimes suspended from its branches, the tiny metal tubes swaying gently in the breeze, the root of the whispers. I hesitated before touching a wind chime, but as soon as I did, I was transported. Images of people's lives flooded into my head, their happiness and sorrows entwined with the forest. I endured their deepest regrets and unrealized hopes as if they were my own. I turned to look at my friends, whose faces were overrun with the same feelings as mine. Each of us touched a wind chime, acting as a conduit for these buried tales. The lines separating our lives from the lives of those who came before us began to fade as we shared in the weight of this lost society as a whole. When the last echo of a whisper faded away, silence. The wind chimes stilled and we were left alone in the moonlit clearing. After leaving, we changed in ways that words could never fully express. Our laughter had been replaced by a deep sense of connection to one another, to the forest, and to the countless people whose stories we had heard. We received a gift from the forest, a window into the thoughts and feelings of those who had formerly wandered to its edges. We packed up and left the whispering woods as dawn bathed the sky in shades of orange and gold. We carried the weight of those whispers with us as a reminder of our common humanity rather than as a burden. And deep down, we knew that the forest would keep on whispering its secrets to those who are willing to listen, weaving a tapestry of tales that would remain long after our steps had faded from its tracks.